For more frequent video uploads, feel free to support AnimeKouhai at Patreon. The link is in the description below.
The Otherworlders arriving at the borders of the Empire received special treatment, and far more had gathered there than any other nation. As a result, their cultures and traditions were seen across the Empire. Naturally, the Empire realized that many of them possessed unique skills and thus carried out further research. Because of them, the Imperial Army's technology continued to develop to the point that it likely surpassed all the other nations in the world. The Empire had abandoned the use of knights. Fighting on horseback had long since become obsolete, and in its place, battles were fought with modernized weaponry. Soldiers who replaced their flesh and bones with steel and machinery were called mechanites, and they soon played pivotal roles in the Empire's war force. The Armored Corps, the main force of the Empire, strongly exemplified this feature. In addition, the Magic Beast Corps also cleverly used the knowledge of the other worlds. DNA, also known as deoxyribonucleic acid, was a biological macromolecule that held the genetic information of biological beings. Having gained this knowledge from the Otherworlders, the Empire was able to analyze the strength of the magic beasts. They even went a step further in their research. As for the Mixed Corps, it consisted of many powerful Otherworlders. Every one of them had awakened their unique skills. They were a force to be reckoned with. And so, by cleverly combining the technology from the other worlds and special abilities, the Empire created an incredibly powerful army. You wouldn't be wrong to attribute much of the Empire's steady growth to Gadra's passion. However, separate to the three main corps Gadra developed, there was another group in charge of protecting the Emperor. This group was, at most, the size of a company, which was 100 men. It was called the Imperial Guardians. The members were called Imperial Knights, despite the term knight being a relic of a bygone era. A clueless outsider might think that they were merely a formality, or like their name, a remnant from the past. But that was far from the truth. The Imperial Knights of the Imperial Guardians were the elite of the elite, handpicked from each of the corps. Among them were Otherworlders, which only further proved their commitment to the credo that power is everything, by disregarding any prejudice over a person's home country. These people had not gained their titles through their family's name or influence in this old empire, but purely on their own merit. There were rumors saying that the Imperial Guardians were all gifted legendary-grade weapons as proof that they were the strongest among men. These powerful elites paired with the best gear could take on thousands of foes on their own. Their combined strength was superior to that of every corps combined. They were also guaranteed the best treatment. Each one of them had the rank of a senior officer. When they carried out special missions, they were granted the authority of a colonel, at minimum. They were the Imperial Guardians, admired by the Empire's soldiers as the greatest force of the Empire. In conclusion, there were 4 military corps within the Empire. To be the commanding general of these corps, one had to demonstrate adequate military prowess to force those below into obedience. They had to make sure that everyone recognized why they were the strongest within the Empire. So, how would they prove this? This was done through competition for ranks, a rank battle, within the Empire's military. So long as the battle was supervised by a neutral third party, this system allowed a lower-ranking individual to challenge his superior. In other words, it allowed insubordination. As a result, ranks within the corps often fluctuated. Naturally, several conditions had to be met for these rank battles to be approved. They could not be held during a military operation. It would be rendered invalid without the presence of a witness. Moreover, if the challenging party were defeated, they would need to wait another year before regaining the right to challenge. The same rule applied if the challenger killed their opponent. Since superior officers were allowed to kill their challengers, these challenges had to be treated with caution. The challenger had to utilize an overwhelming amount of strength in order to make their opponent admit defeat. This system was very much in line with the Empire's philosophy, power is everything. Nevertheless, there was no shortage of people who hoped to climb the ranks to become Imperial Guardians. The Empire's ideology was engraved on the people's hearts. This was how the rankings within the Empire were decided. However, Gadra was exempted from this rule. Due to his special position, he was like a foreigner to the Empire. Excluding Gadra, the Empire would select soldiers from the rest of the military to join the ranks of the Imperial Guardians, as well as elect the corps commanders. When a replacement was needed, candidates would be chosen from among the top 100 ranks. Those who wished to climb the ranks of office were given equal opportunity. That was why those who truly possessed strength would not go unnoticed. Everyone continuously honed their skills, eager to demonstrate their talents. Through this method, the Empire would elect one marshal, the most highly ranked officer, and 3 generals. In addition, the highest-ranking individual would automatically be elected as the marshal. In contrast, only after the Emperor, the marshal, and Gadra had discussed the matter would they appoint the appropriate candidates as the generals. The reasoning was very simple. Strength didn't always translate to strategic command. All in all, the members who remained in each corps were weaker than the Imperial Guardians, so there was no doubt that the generals who became the corps commanders would all be the most capable elites in their respective corps. This was how the commanders of the corps were decided. These 4 individuals were the highly esteemed people representing the Empire to the public. The marshal and the 3 generals would receive gear appropriate for their position. Since the members of the Imperial Guardians received legendary grade gear, the gifts to these 4 individuals must therefore be superior, secret treasures of the Empire. These were the strongest treasured items, those whose power was wielded during the many conquests in the ancient times, mythical grade gear. The fact that the Empire possessed multiple mythical grade items, the existence of which itself was often questioned, underpinned their prestige. The ultimate gear that no mortal human could ever dream of touching. Only those worthy could wield it. Once the gear itself approved of them could they unleash their true power. Only the strongest deserved this ultimate power. These individuals seemed almost invincible, and so the Empire managed to stand, unshaken. Yet as time passed, an anomaly appeared in the Empire. For the first time in several decades, a new face took the place of an old corps commander. With a feat that had seemed unfeasible, one man brought the disjointed mixed corps together under a single, strong will. He had been a part of the corps for less than a year, but the rate of his progress was unprecedented, beyond all reason. Following triumph after triumph, defeating countless experienced warriors, this young man had managed to climb to one of the Empire's top positions. His name was Yuuki Kagurazaka. With the rise of Yuuki, things were about to escalate rapidly.
Volume 12, Chapter 3. Visitors from the Empire. Part 1.
In a luxurious room, 3 men stood close to one another, faces plastered with nervous expressions. They straightened their backs, waiting for the master of this room to return. That was the man who had become one of the corps commanders of the Empire in the blink of an eye, Yuuki. But in the eyes of these 3, that was nothing surprising. After all, Yuuki was their overlord, as well as the grandmaster of the secret organization they were all a part of, Cerberus.
Hey, sorry for the holdup, you guys. You could have sat down while you waited.
Yuuki greeted, entering the room. Kigali followed closely behind him like a true secretary.
No, Yuuki-sama. We are your loyal subordinates. There is no need for you to be concerned about us.
One of the 3 replied for everyone. He was one of the leaders of Cerberus, Damrata the Gold, a suspicious and seemingly unpredictable man. As for the other 2, one of them was Misha the lover, a beauty who simultaneously possessed both the appearance of a young girl and a mature woman, although with an unusual allure which one might even call eerie. The last person symbolized raw strength, Vega the power. His body was muscular and tenacious, like that of a ferocious beast, while the aura he exuded was oppressive enough to kill a person with just a glance. These 3 were the leaders of Cerberus. They bowed to Yuuki before taking their seats.
Congratulations for taking the office of Corps Commander, sir.
Since Yuuki-sama has even managed to escape from the hands of Demon Lord Gi, this was only to be expected.
If you had handed over the matter to me, running the corps would have been a piece of cake.
While Damrata and Misha both congratulated Yuuki, Vega seemed extremely displeased, but Yuuki didn't mind. Indeed, a meathead like you would have no trouble fighting his way to the top, but they'd never elect a corps commander that hopelessly inept at leading. Yuuki smirked to himself.
Either way, this was all thanks to Damrata's recommendation to seek Master Gadra.
Yuuki said, trying to change the topic.
You are too kind.
Damrata replied with a smile.
Our progress to this day has all been thanks to the prior arrangements made after we predicted how things would develop. I merely introduced the otherworlders prepared by Yuuki-sama to Gadra Dono. It's nothing worthy of praise.
You're as stubborn as a mule. You could have just acted happy at my compliments.
I deliberately chose not to. It would be a burden if someone were to set their expectations of me too high.
You sure are a funny man.
Yuuki and Damrata exchanged looks as they both smiled. This alone was able to communicate each other's thoughts, since both of them had confidence in each other's abilities. After they continued chatting for a bit, Yuuki cut to the main issue.
Now then, Kigali, please give the report on the movement of Demon Lord Rimuru.
Understood. Yuuki-sama. Currently, Demon Lord Rimuru is.
Hearing Yuki's order, Kigali began to speak. Her source of information came from the members of the Freedom Association in the West. Most of Yuki's subordinates had already fled, so by using this distraction, they had managed to leave behind a few spies. Kigali spoke in a very clear voice and gave a concise explanation. She revealed that the Western nations were now completely under Rimuru's control. Furthermore, they had organized a massive, fearsome army as a countermeasure against any invasion initiated by the Empire. In addition, at the capital Rimuru, there were often sightings of incredible phenomena, and so on.
I see. There is a small town near the bank of the Great Emerald River, meant exclusively for hosting taverns. Did he turn that into a military outpost?
Yuuki murmured to himself.
Now that I think about it, if he intends to expand his defensive perimeter to our nation, he would have to do that.
Indeed, nearly 20,000 soldiers have already been deployed there. It looks like they utilized something called a Magitrain to transport the supplies. I heard that there were enough rations for a protracted war.
Kigali explained.
Impressive. If that is the case, it will be difficult for the Empire to win.
That's true. That nation has imported rations, enough to feed over 1 million people, directly from the kingdom of Farmanas. While Farmanas could hardly compare to its strength a year ago, the nation right now could probably fight a war with the Empire all by itself. Moreover, if the Western States Council, controlled by Demon Lord Rimuru, were to gather all their might, they would certainly become a force to be reckoned with.
That would be hard to say. Rimuru-san has already decided to embrace cruelty and ruthlessness. However, considering his personality, he's still as soft as ever. If we were to fight seriously with our numbers, the casualties would only increase. That's why he would probably want to push back the Empire with only the elite forces of his own nation.
How would that be possible?
He managed to become a demon lord, after all. Surely he wouldn't do something that foolish.
While both Kigali and Damrata rejected the idea, Yuuki remained steadfast in his view. That person is incredibly naive and abnormally powerful at the same time. There's no telling what he can and cannot do. That's what Yuuki believed deep down, but he decided not to voice that opinion and asked Kigali to continue.
Excuse me.
Kigali apologized.
I shall continue with the report. There are over 50,000 soldiers waiting for orders at the capital city Rimuru. Reinforcements sent by the former Beast Kingdom Eurazania are gradually arriving as well. The estimated number of soldiers would amount to over 100,000.
That does sound very surprising, but the Empire still has the numerical advantage.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Chris Benrandone, Justoni Lomoljo, Kirisoto Sama, Mac3, Dandel Bernal. Thank you so much for helping out. Shout out to the commenters: Wabalabadubdub, Chadvota, Anubis JY, A Tempest, and last but not least, shout out to Ricky Romantico. I'll see you guys in the next video.